Welcome to the first Harry Potter movie where Harry actually has a decent haircut. Hey guys, and welcome back to another Harry Potter review. Now today we're reviewing Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix. Now, as you may know, at the end of every video, we rank them. We put them from our favorite to least favorite, or at least my favorite to least favorite. So stick around to the end of the video to find out where this Harry Potter movie ranks in our system. But before we get started, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. I'd really appreciate that. And now let's get into the review. So this movie is directed by David Yates, who from here on out will be directing every single Harry Potter movie, including the two Fantastic Beasts movies. And I think what he does so well in this movie and the other movies is now that in the fourth movie we saw that Lord Voldemort's back, that there's trouble coming. This movie really has to set up that there is actually something bigger happening. And they talk about that there is a war coming, that Voldemort is collecting his troops, and that, like, shit's about to go down, like, it's not gonna go down well. And in this movie, we learn about the Order of the Phoenix. The Order of the Phoenix is a group of wizards, including Sirius, Remus, Mad-Eye Moody, even Severus Snape, and a few others, have formed the Order of the Phoenix. Now, the Order of the Phoenix used to be a thing of the past. It's something that Harry's dad and mom used to be part of. Even Neville's parents used to be part of it. They were a group that formed to fight Lord Voldemort and his troops. And what's cool about the first time Harry meets the Order is that they're telling him about the Order, and again, Harry's that guy that he's like, alright, I'm with it, like, I want to fight. He's like, serious, I want to fight, let me join the Order. And what I like is that Ron's mom, who is kind of like Harry's mom, she's like, nah, you're too young, you can't do this. And Sirius is like, nah, you're right. But then he, like, gives him that little wink. He's like a cool dad, He's like, your mom will be like, no, you can't do that, But your dad's like, nah, it's fine, let him do it. So now it's time for Harry's trial, right? And a bunch of old people, just like a bunch of politicians in America, just a bunch of old white people, are just basically berating Harry and telling him, why would Dementors be out there? And he's like, I don't know, they were out there, had to save us. And the worst character, or one of the most hated characters in this franchise, makes her introduction in this one. And that is Dolores Umbridge. She is the worst. I hate her. Everybody hates her. But guess what? She does her job very well. The actress who plays Dolores Umbridge, I'm going to give you a round of applause. Because your character is supposed to be hated. She's supposed to be so mean that everybody's supposed to hate her. And you know what? As an actor, when you get everybody to hate you when they're supposed to hate you, you did your job well. So then when all hope seems lost and it looks like Harry's expulsion is gonna stay, Mr. Clutch himself, Albus Dumbledore, shows up and he settles everything, and Harry's now allowed to go back to Hogwarts. When me and my friends were watching this movie the other day, we gave Dumbledore a nickname of Mr. Clutch because he is Mr. Clutch so many times in this movie and in the next movie. There's a scene later in the movie where the professor who does the prophecy class, she's getting fired by Dolores Umbridge, and it looks like she's gonna get fired. Dolores, has the papers, and she's like, you're gone. And the giant Hogwarts doors swing open, and who comes out of them? Albus Dumbledore. He comes out almighty, and he's like, nah. You can fire her, but you can't kick her out of this castle. She's staying in the castle. Again, another Mr. Clutch moment. Now I want to talk about Daniel Radcliffe's performance in this movie real quick, because in the last review, I talked about how Daniel Radcliffe does such a great job of portraying Harry as this brave and courageous character. He captures those characteristics very well. But this might be my favorite portrayal of Harry from Daniel Radcliffe. This is my favorite performance as Harry Potter. In this movie, Harry is a little bit unhinged. There's evil brewing inside of him, and he's very on edge the entire movie because there's this evil brewing inside of him and he doesn't know what's happening. And at few points in this movie he just snaps. Like, there's a scene where he snaps at Dumbledore because Dumbledore has been ignoring him the whole movie, and at one point Harry just had enough and he just snaps on him and yells at him. Not to mention that in this movie a big responsibility falls on Harry of being the teacher that will teach all the kids of how to defend themselves, because in this movie Dolores Umbridge is our new professor of the defense against the dark arts, and she is the worst because she's like, you're not going to use spells, you're going to be reading books, you're going to take the owls, you're going to take your exams, no spells, I'm not going to teach you how to defend yourselves. So all the students decide to form their own army, kind of their own Order of the Phoenix called the Dumbledore's Army. I don't really know why they chose that without talking to Dumbledore, because that does get Dumbledore into trouble later. And the training sequences are super fun to watch because this movie knows that we as the audience, we want to see these wizard battles, but they want to take their time to set these characters up and show these characters training to learn how to use all these spells and not just walk out there and destroy everybody, right? No. At the end, when the wizarding battles actually start to happen, it's actually satisfying because, hey, guess what? Throughout the movie, we've seen these kids train how to use these spells and how to defend themselves. We actually saw them put these spells into practice, and then later in the movie, when they actually have to defend themselves, guess what? Now they can. So in this movie, Harry really becomes the leader, because in the last movie, going from the last movie of Goblet of Fire, of him not knowing how to defend himself and needing help to kind of get through these trials, he is now the teacher that has to teach the kids. Like, there's nobody that's going to be helping him. He is on his own teaching all these kids. This movie also introduces us to a new character, and that is Luna Lovegood. And now, if you have seen my other reviews, I've been using this one in a few of them, and that is Luna's wand, if you've been wondering. There she is on the box. That is her. This is her wand. And I feel like we all met a Luna at least once in our lives. You know, that person that just kind of always looking for the positive in life, and is just kind of just living in her own world, doesn't really care what other people think. It's just kind of chilling. Again, always looking for the positive. And it's just a great, fun character in general. One of my favorite scenes in this movie is Neville actually training, because Neville has, throughout the series so far, been kind of like this clumsy kid who's kind of the butt of the joke all the time. But him and Harry, after like a training session, they're standing by this mirror that's in the requirement room, and they're looking at the picture of the old Order of the Phoenix. And Neville tells Harry about his parents, who are in the picture. And he tells him how he wants to make them proud, and he wants to be part of the fight. And he's ready to train, and he's going to work his best to try to be, like his parents, or live up to his parents. And I just thought that was great development for a side character like Neville, who again has kind of been the butt of the joke for a majority of the movie so far. But in this movie, like, he's training, he's working hard, he wants to be part of the fight. So now we're at the third act of the movie, and the kids create this little plan to finally get rid of Dolores Umbridge. And oh man, is it satisfying when those centaurs come in and just swoop Dolores Umbridge. That is one of the most satisfying thing in this whole franchise, to see her be an awful, awful person throughout the entire movie, and finally...
Tell them I mean no harm! I'm sorry, Professor. I must not tell lies.
You know what I never understood and kind of had a problem with? The way they get to London when they need to go to the Ministry of Magic. Harry's like, oh, we have these like flying things, right? But earlier in the movie, Luna explains that you can only see the flying things if you see death. Harry saw Cedric die, so now he can see these things. So how did they convince the other students to get on these things and fly? Because the other students can't see them, right? Like, to them, they're just on air, right? So they're just flying. Like, how would you know which way to even sit? Or like, how, like, you're up in the air on an invisible thing that you have no idea what it looks like. Yeah, that just kind of always bothered me of how they did that. So our group of kids get to the Ministry of Magic, and a massive wizard fight breaks out. We're firing spells at all sides, Stupefy and all of them. And Ginny decides to launch the spell that explodes the entire prophecy room. All the shelves are falling. It looks great. David Yates, what I gotta give him huge credit for, is he directs Harry Potter action and wizard battles beautifully. Visually, they are stunning. They look great. There's a sequence when Sirius and the Order of the Phoenix show up. Like, their smoke, like the way they land, is like white, and the Death Eaters is black. So there's a cool little one shot, this little pan shot of like around this rock, which is next to this arch, which this arch stands on. And like Harry and Sirius are like firing spells on one side. So now we're seeing a cool little team up between Sirius and Harry, and they're fighting against Malfoy's dad and another Death Eater. And Sirius sends Malfoy's dad away, and all of a sudden, Bellatrix shoots the Avada Kedavra spell, and it hits Sirius. Oh man, is that heartbreaking. And Harry just has to stand there and watch as that arch takes Sirius away. I mean, there isn't even like a dead body, right? Like, Sirius is just there, and all of a sudden, he's now gone. And Harry has been on edge the entire movie. This evil has been brewing within him, and he has had enough. Like, this is it. His only kind of family member that he has been looking forward to building this entire relationship with is gone. He is at his breaking point. And again, this is where I want to, give a huge shout out to Daniel Radcliffe's performance in this movie. Because there's a scene where, like, after Sirius dies, Harry screams. And I heard that they had to mute that scene. Like, there's an actual version where Harry, you can actually hear the scream. And apparently the scream was just so painful and just so heartbreaking to listen to that they decided to mute it. I think it works both ways. I would like to hear the actual scream. I wonder how that would work. And here we go. Bellatrix is down. Harry's pointing his wand at her. He is filled with rage at her. And Lord Voldemort shows up and he's telling Harry, yo, you know the spell, do it. And what I like what movies do sometimes is show that it's not that easy to take a life, right? We can have this big action movie where our hero has no problem shooting everybody, but then there's some movies like Batman or Daredevil that show that it's not so easy for our characters to take a life. Like, it will actually mess with them. And so the villain always tries to push our hero to break that line to kill somebody. And that's what Voldemort is trying to do here. He's telling him, you know the spell. Like, if you do this, he thinks that if Harry does this, like, that's it. The evil will consume him. And this is where Harry's character shows. He's like, nah, I'm not falling for that stuff. And he turns around, Voldemort smacks him, and it looks like it's about to be a showdown between Voldemort and Harry Potter. But Mr. Clutch is on the scene. What an entrance. Dumbledore comes out of that green fire, and he calls Voldemort by his name. The disrespect on that. The guy hates being called by his name. Boom! Now it's time for Lord Voldemort and Dumbledore to go head-to-head with some spells. Throughout the 5 movies so far, people have been arguing who's stronger, who's the greatest wizard. Is it Dumbledore? Is it Lord Voldemort? I don't know. Harry's just kind of taking a backseat here. The visuals on this scene are just great. The satisfaction, obviously Dumbledore can't kill Lord Voldemort, or Lord Voldemort can't kill Dumbledore because there's more story to tell. But that one fight that they have, like Lord Voldemort shoots out this fire snake, Dumbledore uses some water. It looks stunning. It's exciting. It's exactly what you had hoped for if you were, really hoping to see Dumbledore go head-to-head against Lord Voldemort. Here comes the part of this movie where it hits me in my feelings. In the last movie, I said that from the 4th movie to the 8th movie, there's one scene, at least in every Harry Potter movie, that always gets me in my feelings. And in this scene, it is when Harry's getting possessed. Again, great performance by Daniel Radcliffe. He sells a possessed body very well. When Harry's getting possessed, there's just so many factors that work well for this scene. First of all, it's the music. I always talk about how the music can bring out so many emotions within the audience just, by being there. The music's great. Second of all, Daniel Radcliffe's acting, because you can definitely see that Harry is in pain. He is experiencing pain. Like, it's hard to watch. His friends even come over. The look on his friends' eyes, they look like they want to try to help him. Even Dumbledore, who's standing over him, looks like he wants to try to help him. But like they just don't know what to do. This guy's in pain and nobody can help him besides himself. And the little piece of dialogue that Dumbledore tells him of that, Harry, it's not how you are the same. It's how you are different. It's a very small piece of dialogue, but it is so powerful because that reminds Harry, and he's looking at his friends. It's a great sequence of all the good memories, and we have scenes from the 1st movie and the 2nd movie of them as little kids and enjoying magic and the friendship that they build, and that reminds him of that. Him and Lord Voldemort are so different because, and he tells them, they're different because Lord Voldemort will never experience love or friendship or anything like that, and he feels sorry for him, and yeah, he just basically forces him out of him. So yeah, this movie is jam-packed with action, great performance by Daniel Radcliffe, my favorite performance as Harry Potter from him. I love seeing him be the teacher and teaching all the kids all these spells. I love seeing all the training montages. Even Dolores Umbridge, even though I hated her, she's a great villain that you just hate because you're supposed to hate. I think this is a great showing by first-time Harry Potter director David Yates, who again takes over the franchise from here on out. I just love the way he directs Harry Potter action and Harry Potter wizard battles. They look great. They're visually stunning. So, going to our table here, where am I going to put the Order of the Phoenix? Now, again, film-wise, the way it's constructed and everything, Prisoner of Azkaban will probably forever be the best constructed film. But The Order of the Phoenix, I just enjoyed the story so much. I love it so much. I'm going to put it on the first slot right now. So, Prisoner of Azkaban will go down into second place, and all the other movies will start dropping one slot. Order of the Phoenix will be number one for now, just because, again, I enjoyed the story so much, and we finally get some epic wizard battles which look great on screen. Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix. Is this your favorite Harry Potter movie? Is this your least favorite Harry Potter movie? Did they do a good job of adapting a long book? Let me know all of that down in the comments. I would love to have a discussion with you about that. Again, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. I'd really appreciate that. And I'll see you guys in the next Harry Potter review, which will be for Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince.